hold it. No. We're not doing Jaws. That was pure fiction.
You see, in the real world of sharks, Jaws probably would run a lot more like this. Now you might think that a world where sharks are small and afraid of man isn't the real world, because most people have an image of sharks as big, man-eating predators. But in fact, only about a dozen species of sharks have ever attacked humans. More often than not, those attacks were probably cases of mistaken identity. Of over 400 species of sharks that are living out there, the vast majority of them are small, not very threatening to man, never seen, and hardly known by science. And it's these beautiful little sharks that I'm more interested in than the big toothy guys that have been filmed over and over again. So, for the next month, I'm going to make a mad dash all around the Pacific looking for and hopefully filming these incredible little sharks. I'll be working with shark experts in 7 different locations and using a ton of specialist gear on my quest to find the most extraordinary small shark that I can. But with only a month, it's really all about first impressions. How weird or wonderful can a shark be in just a few days will determine what my top tiny predator will be. One minute shark has even disabled U.S. naval submarines. It took years just to identify the culprit, let alone find it. So just locating our subjects will be a challenge. Small and powerful. We just may answer the age-old question, at least in sharks. Size matters. I've been filming sharks most of my life. I've worked with both large and small ones, taken calculated risks, and seen breathtaking animals. To be successful in the sea, you've got to find a niche, a specialty, do things a little differently. Sharks are an obvious success story, and some pull it off by getting small. They often look weird, act weird, and pack secret weapons. And I'm setting out to find the one that impresses me the most. This challenge will be anything but relaxing. So let's take a deep breath and begin with the largest of the Jaws juniors. We'll start on Stradbroke Island near Brisbane, Australia. And right away, we're doing things Aussie style. Where else would you get driven straight into the sea? No worries, mate. I've never been to Stradbroke, so we need all the local help we can get, particularly since we've only got a few days here. So I start by getting information about our first shark from local scientist Chris Dudgeon. Even with Chris's help, we're far from certain that we'll find the shark we're looking for. It's fall in Australia and the water is getting cold. Bad news, these sharks disappear when the cold water arrives. But wait a minute, what's that? The Australians call it a leopard shark. And this is why I'm here, for a chance to lay down right next to a beautiful shark in the open sand.
I can just creep up to them like this and put down my measuring pole.
Chris is an ecologist. She studies individuals, but is really interested in the big picture of the leopard sharks, starting with where they go in the winter. At the moment, it remains a mystery. Leopard sharks are slow-moving as they've adapted to feeding on small animals buried in the sand. But because they're so sluggish, exposed, and have big fins, they've become prime targets for fishermen, so much so that they may soon become extinct. It also becomes obvious that we're going to have to be stealthy and patient to get close.
here we are. This is what we came for. Now, most sharks swim around in the water column. They have to. Pass water over their gills, allowing them to breathe. Clearly, leopard sharks don't have to do this. Sometimes they will even stay in front of you and let you get a sink piece done where I could have told you about their gills. I could have described the little remores on them. We could have talked about their skin and the little dermal denticles and all of these things. However, as is often the case with filmmaking, the shark buggers off. We're left holding the bag, looking for another animal. Look at that. That's a beautiful shark. This is why we came to Stradbroke Island. We need to determine something. Does this shark qualify as a Jaws Junior? Now, the shark looks like it might not make it. Our criteria is that the shark must be smaller than me. But, now wait a minute, this thing's cheating, I think. Look at it. It's got a big first dorsal fin, there's a second dorsal fin, and right behind the second dorsal fin is this extraordinary tail. So, if I can count Mark into trading me a camera for a fin, ha-ha! How about that? This is what I'll wear, then we'll see who's larger or smaller.
But not just any fin. This one is designed for fishing and is super long. So like the leopard shark, it gives me a good extra foot in length.
Here we go. I'm just going to lay down right next to him.
It qualifies. It's smaller than me, even without my extended fin. Now, what about the leopard shark's tail? It's not designed for fast swimming, but it is, like the fin I put on, perfect for cruising with minimal effort or holding position in these Stradbroke currents. The leopard shark is certainly a beautiful animal, and it was fantastic to be so close to it. But I don't know if this lazy lifestyle is enough to grab the honors of my ultimate little shark. Elasmobranchs, the sharks and rays, include many of the most spectacular fish in the ocean. The stunning beauty of giants like the manta ray is plain for all to see, but for this film, they're too big. My quest is to reveal the charms and extraordinary features of the little sharks. But first, this manta ray has to swim away, because we're sure not going to leave it. My next candidate is one of the most beautiful fish I've ever seen. But what I'm really interested in is its amazing adaptations to one of the harshest of environments. Oh, this has to be one of the most difficult shooting situations that I've ever been in. I feel like that the water is so shallow I'm having to walk along the reef. What happens, we're on Heron Island on the Great Barrier Reef. And when the tide goes out, the water gets so shallow that most sharks in their right mind leave and go out into the deeper water except for one. And that's the one that we're after. And it does something really surprising. It's a specialist at hunting in the shallows. The little shark we're looking for actually alters its body functions to survive in the ever-changing conditions of the tidal flats, where the water rips in and out of Heron Island's lagoon twice a day. And on high tide, finding the little shark proves tricky. But there he is. No worries about being bigger than this guy. He's tiny. Epaulet sharks rarely grow over a skinny 3 feet in length. These beautiful sharks hide during the day and are actively hunting at night, which makes them quite a challenge to film, especially snorkeling in choppy conditions. I'm struggling to film much more than shark butts, so It's time for a little film trickery.
Now, we told you that we were going to pull all the stops and use a few tricks of the trade in order to film these little sharks, these Jaws Junior. And we're going to start right now with this epaulet shark. In order for me to get the kind of details that I want of this shark, I just can't do it in the field. So, what we do is build a set.
We have an aquarium set up. We put the shark in it, and I can put my camera on a tripod right on the other side, and then all I have to do is get close-ups of eyes, gills, beautiful little patterns, things that I couldn't possibly do from underwater. Works like this. And we have to thank Heron Island Research Station for loaning us this tank as well as one of their sharks. I have a macro lens on, so now we'll just nice and easy zoom in for some close-ups. This shark impresses me. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the opportunity to see details of the shark in the research tank is a real treat. Most big sharks need to swim to pass water over their gills, but not the epaulet. It can quietly lay undetected on the bottom, aided by the striking markings, which give it great camouflage. And here's its secret. It has special muscles which actively pump water over its gills, drawing oxygen from the sea. I could see that the shark was growing bored with me, so it's back to the ocean to find them in situ. As the tide goes out, the remaining water becomes increasingly saline and warm, so much so that many fish can't even survive here. But epaulets have customized their physiology so they can shut down everything except a small part of their brain. Their heartbeat slows, their respiration rate drops. They actually go into a semi-trance and just wait for a sign of prey. The conditions are also hard on me. So far, more tail shots. But if you spend enough time getting scraped and cut in a few inches of water, you're bound to see something. At the first scent of potential prey, the epaulet's brain snaps to full alert. On looks alone, the epaulet has to be a contender. But after the break, I'm going after a shark that goes to almost comical lengths to adapt to its lifestyle.
Shark Week will return, but first, this fear fact. Sharks have a competitive sensory advantage over human swimmers during darkness or twilight hours because their cat-like eyes allow them to see better at night.
We're looking for sharks that are not only beautiful, but very clever. So we have to pull all the stops, use every trick in the filmmaking book, including camouflage, because here on Heron Island on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia lives a shark that is an unbelievably cryptic animal and can camouflage himself beautifully. But we're gonna sneak up on him. I think this may fall into the best laid plans department. Now, we know many animals survive due to great camouflage, and that's what I'm trying to reproduce here. I know I may look a bit foolish, but by wearing this and with my rebreather, I do blend into the reef more than I would with typical scuba gear. And with any luck, I should be able to creep up on my chosen shark relatively unnoticed. Trouble is, this stuff's a nightmare to dive in. I can't see, can't swim properly, get caught on every rock. Not to mention, I haven't seen a single shark. So after 90 minutes of being a coral reef, I've had enough. I sure wouldn't recommend anyone else trying this. Time for a rethink. Back to a more conventional approach. My target animal likes to hide under rocks and ledges, So that's exactly where we're headed. Yes, there it is, jammed under a rock. We'll just creep in slowly here to avoid spooking it. And when Mark gets a little light on the situation, I should be able to show you what this is all about. Nope, that's not a rock. It's a tasseled wobbegong. Look at this thing. Wobbegongs are severely flattened sharks and beautifully camouflaged. It's an ambush predator. And these stunning markings make it virtually invisible to unwary fish. Even the head's outline is broken up by bizarre projections. This is camouflage to the extreme. And if these little fish were bigger, we may see some of them disappear in one mighty gulp. To help it remain motionless, the wobbegong has a specially adapted opening called a spiracle for drawing water into its gills, or like a ray than a shark. This breathing design enables the flattened sharks to adapt to habitats that are totally unsuited to most sharks. But it doesn't move. You might have to wait days to see this thing feed or even swim, and that's just not going to happen. Our quest demands action to impress me. So we'll leave Australia behind for a totally different type of shark. While small, it's a serious predator. First, the part of filmmaking that usually remains behind the scenes. Travel. Pack, fly, unpack, shoot, clean, pack, fly, yeah. This would be the unglamorous part of filmmaking.
Any passengers still in the checking queue, please proceed slowly to check-in positions.
You have your ticket, Paul. I'm going to see if we can't get group check-in.
Who has the ticket?
I hope you do. I've got a passport here. Mike Kasich, mug shot, former felon.
Sound guy.
Excuse me 1 second. What do you think about all this?
Well, I'm glad I don't have to do any work. I'm just a cameraman, so I don't have to deal with any luggage or baggage or anything. I just shoot what happens.
That's good. Even the first look at this place had an ominous air to it. I could sense that we were on the trail of something very different to our other pint-sized predators. We're literally in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, in the heart of French Polynesia. We've left Tahiti behind. Before us, under a thick layer of clouds, is the island of Moorea. And here, we're going to see a shark that has a special relationship with a human. It feels great to get back in the water again after 3 days of travel, airports, and hotels, especially clear, warm water. Isla Francis Porcher has spent hundreds of hours with black-tipped reef sharks. It's a beautiful 4 to 5 foot shark that she claims have individual personalities. So, is my number 4 a shark with character? If so, I'm hoping to see evidence of this complex social behavior.
A few years ago, I happened to have some fish scraps, and I took the scraps to the lagoon. And there I found that the extraordinarily interesting, curious behavior of the sharks so intriguing that I just kept going back. And it became more and more serious as I found the individual differences between them to be profound and really interesting, and that they were found them very intelligent.
Black-tipped reef sharks are perfectly formed. These compact torpedoes are built for darting and bullying around the reef, but not much sign of unusual behavior yet. Then, Isla starts feeding them. So, their numbers build and their behavior does change dramatically, not surprisingly, into a feeding frenzy. This isn't the example of individual behaviors I was anticipating. I'm not a fan of shark feeding rodeos, and this is starting to look just like that. The situation causes me to ask Isla some hard questions.
I know it's not really good to feed wild animals, but in this case I just couldn't have, it was the only way to reach out to them. but I no longer feed all the time in one place. These sharks get fed every couple of months usually.
By you?
Yeah, but I do go out to see them, and sometimes I'll bring just one piece for a special shark I might meet.
You should be able to draw these. But the feeding has allowed Isla to have consistent encounters with blacktips.
This book is full.
Wow.
Full of pictures.
That is amazing.
And all the names are on there.
And you have 500 of these.
Yeah, each one is the left and right side. See this one here? It's the same one that we saw last night, and I did this drawing of
This is
him.
the one, yeah.
This is Trinket.
Perfect.
And
Oh,
I met
wait,
him when
this is
he was
Trinket
a
as a
baby.
juvenile?
Yeah, he's on the very first page. And he was, I first saw him when he was a little baby, just about a year old. Very small, and now he's grown up and he lives outside the reef, and he came last night. And I haven't seen him for 2 years.
She has hundreds of hours of observations and is amassing an extraordinary database. Of all the sharks we'll visit, this one best fits the cliched image of a shark. It's full on, and it could give me a good beating. As to the individual personalities, well, the jury's still out. So, can it be the top shark? I don't know. But I remain impressed by Isla's commitment to understanding these beautiful animals.
We've gone full circle, and now we're in the land of the kelp, the cold and sometimes murky waters of California, which actually is my home, so I actually feel warm here. This, I can promise you though, some of my favorite of the pint-sized predators, the Jaws Juniors, live right here in these murky, cold waters, which sometimes get a little bit spooky.
And welcome to my neighborhood. Diving in the kelp is like flying through a forest. I love it here. It's brimming with animals, and this three-dimensional world is constantly changing. I've returned to California on my quest to find the most extraordinary small shark. Here, I hope to find a tiny shark that's evolved a surprising defense system, and I want to see it in action. But it happens at night. The team is already tired after 3 weeks in the field, so we need to take things slowly and carefully. It's back to the rebreathers, which allow us to spend several hours underwater. And to stay warm in the chilly California sea, we've had to switch to clumsy dry suits. This thing rigs like a nice, warm, cozy blanket on a winter night. Nothing more comfortable. Just hardly even notice you're wearing it.
Be careful, don't slip on the kelp.
We're using a powerful cabled light. It's great for lighting up this flooded forest, but the cables are literally a drag. Glad we've got assistance. It's easy to get disoriented here at night, and the kelp is excellent. It's snagging on every piece of diving gear we wear. What we're looking for is a shark whose appearance is a little deceiving. This is a horn shark. Here in California, they're common, cruising around at night, feeding on crustaceans and other invertebrates living within the kelp forest. This is a particularly small one. Horn sharks will grow to over 3 feet. And you might think he's a cute, harmless little shark. But watch this. A hungry angel shark is more than capable of swallowing a horn shark whole. But then, something quite extraordinary happens. So why did the angel shark spit him out? Well, let's see. Horn sharks' teeth are small and flat, so they've developed an alternative weapon. Both dorsal fins are armed with a sharp spine. Remember the last time you bit down on a sharp bone? Same thing. Expertise in self-defense has to rank pretty highly, and it's mighty cute. Could this be the one? The next shark is perhaps the most elusive of all, but it offers a great opportunity to swim with a large school of exquisite sharks. So we're now in Cherry Cove. No one has reported any sharks here.
Is it moving? Just keep an eye on it.
I see shadows over there. We're on the trail of another kind of leopard shark, a totally different animal to the Australian leopard.
All your peace and tranquility. Oh, not at all. Yeah, I bet.
Each summer, these sharks crowd onto the beaches near the Marine Lab on Catalina Island, and Barbara Ziegler explains why.
Generally, during summer months, we just look for leopard sharks coming in, and they're actually following a temperature gradient coming around as the day progresses. Currently, since we're only getting one or two sharks a day, about 2 in the afternoon, sharks are coming in. They're milling all the way up in the shallows. So the theory is they're using the shallow water for its warmth. These sharks, they're all mature females, and they're probably in the midst of gestation right now. So they can come in here and increase pup size, increase their size, assimilate food better, many metabolic advantages.
Dr. Chris Lowe tipped us off that they had been seen up the coast.
Like really tough life out here.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Par for the course as we show up and oh, you should have been here yesterday.
Of course. Well, here you are here today, and they're there. Those little smudges, those are sharks. You can't complain that we can't put you on sharks now.
It seems like leopard sharks actively seek out the dirty water kicked up by the waves, which makes sense. If you're small and spend hours in the shallows with predators like sea lions and cameramen around, you're pretty vulnerable. And what better place to hide than the murk? Sharks have a variety of senses beyond vision, and although I can barely see them, they know exactly where I am and can avoid me with ease, and they do.
Hey Mike, you swam right around you 5 feet that way. You couldn't even see it because I can see the business really bad. You can see the business really bad there.
No, I can't see a thing. I've got about maybe 2 feet. 2 feet of visibility.
All right, set the camera at a good angle, turn it on, and see what happens. Talk about shooting blind. Apparently, they like the remote camera better than they like me. And of course, the blind camera gets better footage than I did. In the end, the leopards remain specters in the mist. They are beautiful animals and cleverly take advantage of the shallows, so that's got to count for something. These female leopards will spend the whole summer coming here in the warmth of the day, carefully gestating their eggs, which hatch inside their bodies. Then the fully formed babies will emerge. But not all sharks employ this strategy. Sharks are incredibly diverse in their reproduction. Many of them, like this deep-water chain dogfish, lay hard, rubbery eggs that protect the young for months, ensuring that they're perfectly formed when they hatch. Bonnethead sharks also give birth to live young, but unlike the leopards, bonnethead pups are placental fed, more like mammals. All sharks have a slow rate of reproduction, though, making them extremely vulnerable to overfishing. So, what's a little guy to do? Go deep.
Shark Week will return. But first, another fear fact. Florida is the world's shark attack capital, with 31 reported attacks in 2003. Florida has held this ominous title for the past 10 years.
Now my quest takes us to a true frontier. The deep ocean is filled with sharks that are totally at home in this bleak abyss, like this chimera. Little is known of these small deep-water guys because the deep sea has hardly been explored. I've spent many days in submersibles over the years, but I've never seen our next candidate. A deep-water David among a sea of Goliaths, a shark with an outrageous appetite for nuclear submarines. During the 70s, something was trashing the sonar domes of these sinister vessels. Rumor had it that a little-known deep-water shark was to blame. But could a tiny fish possibly damage such a mighty machine? Any shark that does that is high up on my list. This is a rare still picture of the culprit, and I've come to Hawaii to track it down. This is the Honolulu Fish Market, and this is the place where we will find evidence of this mystery shark that we're after. I'll show you what I mean. Yellowfin tuna, sashimi, ahi, the best. And this is what we're talking about. See these holes? What could have caused that? Luckily, one of my friends from school, Dr. Kim Holland, agreed to get up at 4 a.m. with us to help answer my questions. So you've lived and worked in Hawaii for a long time. Tell me about cookie cutter sharks.
We don't know anything about cookie cutter sharks compared to other sharks that we've studied. I've studied tiger sharks and hammerhead sharks and sandbar sharks and white-tip sharks. Those are all comparatively easy to study. But where cookie cutters live out in the open ocean, the kind of lifestyle that they've evolved with, we've got no clue really how they make a living. They're a complete mystery. This is a really prime example here of the kind of damage that cookie cutter sharks can do. You can see on the same fish very fresh wounds.
Yep.
And healed over scars for size of this golf ball is right in there. Would you like to get bitten by a big one or a lot of little ones like that?
Ooh, good question. Do you suspect that most of these tuna, the ones that are on a long line, are being bitten on the line, or they were bitten before they got hooked?
Well, I think on the larger stuff, especially with the healed over scars, it's obviously, such that they were bitten earlier, much earlier. In the case of these types of wounds, it's probably right on the line when they got hit.
So the really fresh ones probably on the line, but you see a lot of scars that are not fresh.
Yes. We assume that these animals are perhaps like a barracuda, where they can have an almost zero profile when they're head on to you, and you only see them when they turn sideways, so they probably just stalk their prey. And when the tuna comes close enough, there's a quick burst into the fish, twists on its axis, and scoops out that melon ball or golf ball size bite of flesh.
Well, that's enough circumstantial evidence for me. Against all odds, it's time to attempt to find the creator of these golf ball scars. And to do that, we head out 100 miles offshore to a seamount, an underwater volcano. No one has managed to film a cookie cutter before, so we're venturing into the unknown. But we have expert help. Fisheries biologist David Itano is planning a tuna tagging program and has some ideas of his own.
And when you said you were really wanted to come here for a little while and try and catch a cookie cutter shark, I thought, well, what's the best tuna magnet around? Cross Seamount. It's a big area. This boat could work there safely. And I know that the cookie cutters are there because we catch tuna with very fresh bites.
Now, tell me about the Cross Seamount, the topography. What does it actually look like?
Yeah, the Cross Seamount sits kind of within a group of several seamounts south of the Hawaiian chain, but it's the only one that comes up relatively shallow. It comes up to about 330 meters or so. The rest are very, very deep. But because it comes up to that magic depth, it really attracts tuna. Big eye and yellowfin. It's like a tuna magnet.
We've talked to fishermen. We've done as much homework as we can, and now it's time to, apply all of that we have learned and bring someone like yourself on and go out and give it a whirl. who knows what we'll come up with? You know, probably we'll never see one. We know that. So you don't have to be coy when you say that
I'm glad you know that.
It's a tough one. No one's ever filmed it. It's not because it's easy.
Right.
The odds may be stacked against us, but we've got the team, the gear, and attitude. So game on. Our plan is to lure the cookie cutters toward the boat at night when they're swimming close to the surface in pursuit of prey. David's team is hoping to catch and tag tuna, and we're hoping that one of them will have a cookie cutter attached, or at least nearby. And after hours of anticipation, we're ready to get in the water and look for our cookie cutter. But trouble strikes. Okay, basically what's going on here is the wind is kicked up. We're now in full-on trade winds, 20-knot winds, which means the boat is like a sail being pushed along the surface of the water at a speed greater than we can swim against, so diving is out. So we've rigged a pole cam. Rather crude, rude, perhaps some would even say socially unacceptable, but this is it. A little camera on the end here, gaffer taped along. This video signal moves along this wire all the way down into the cabin and records on that lovely little PD-150 we've been using. Yet another disaster. A big shark, probably an oceanic whitetip, has devastated the tuna line. It's ironic that we should have this particular shark problem. These days, it's increasingly rare that whitetips are present. Another catastrophe of overfishing. It's a sobering moment. There are no tuna that haven't been damaged. We feel horrible. David can't place his tags and we can't film. And the sight of David's poor tuna was heart-wrenching. Of course, there are no signs of cookie cutters. So, plan C, a trap.
All right. In these sea conditions, I'm not adverse to trying this. We'll put the fish trap over, we'll try what we can, but I'm not going to guarantee that we'll be able to recover this trap today.
In this weather, even the fish trap is a tricky option. But as they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So in it goes. The idea is that a hungry cookie cutter just might venture into the trap to scavenge. It's a long shot because cookie cutters are far more likely to go for live prey. But in these conditions, it's our only option. Empty. By now, I'm getting a nagging feeling that luck is not on our side.
Shark Week will return. But first, another fear fact. Experiments have proven that large doses of poison, normally lethal to animals similar in size to sharks, have little to no effect on these predators.
We're on the last leg of our quest to find the ultimate little shark, and with time running out, we're forced to change locations and look for calmer weather, even if it is a less suitable spot than the Cross Seamount. Once again, the water's calm enough for diving, so where in this immense blueness will the cookie cutters be? The answer is a long way below a diver's limits. We need to wait for nighttime when the cookie cutters migrate closer to the surface. And we've got one more trick up our sleeve. This is a small ROV, a remotely operated vehicle. It can go to 500 feet, which is much deeper than we can dive, so maybe this will work.
Someone's on the line.
That is, if we can sort out one more hurdle. The ROV's graphics have died.
What's going on?
What's going on is we have a malfunctioning ROV. There's an overlay on this thing that is supposed to give me depth and heading and thruster information, so as soon as I leave the surface, I have no idea where I am. Not to mention, the starboard thruster isn't working, so I can't turn to the starboard. Other than that, it's perfect.
3.10 on here says the LBV is only good as its pilot.
There you go.
But finally, the ROV is sort of working, and we can explore each hook on David's line, but not one fish. Looks like the new location just isn't cookie cutter country.
That's about it.
Okay, thanks.
But on the last pull, we find that it's not over yet.
It's a cookie cutter bite. Oh, so near yet so far.
It looks like we might have been just inches from success.
Oh, so close. Basically, the skin up in here and then the muscle here both show scrape marks from cookie cutter teeth. See, if we had set that trap. Oh, I knew
Classic. The last bait on the very last pull of the line shows a perfect cookie cutter bite.
Well, I'm afraid this is the final shot of the cookie cutter sequence. This is as close as we've come, and I'm afraid this is the end of the cookie cutter chapter. But I'm not finished. We'll get one day. Just not this movie.
Sadly, our time is up. Yeah, we've had frustration, but also have seen some extraordinary small sharks. But which one impresses me the most? Well, reach for the popcorn and settle back. It's time for the movies. The Californian leopard shark, lost in space, 4 points. The blacktip, my dive gear still smells of chum, 6 points. The woebegong caused too much woe, not enough gong, 5 points. The horn shark, now that's a tough act to swallow, 8 points. The leopard shark cheats with its big tail, 5 points. The epaulet, beauty of the beasts, that's close, 9 points. But the trouble is, we didn't manage to film my top guy. It's gotta be the cookie cutter. A foot long, rips holes out of the fastest fish in the sea, and it disables nuclear submarines. 10 points. Well, the team may have to go home, but not me.
Well, we might be out of time, but we're not out of initiative. I'm getting my cookie cutter. We've got an ROV, I got my diving gear, got my camera, scuba tanks, a lifetime supply of water. We're gonna get him. I'm not giving up yet.
Now you can get the program you just saw on home video. Own it today. For only $21.95 plus shipping and handling, you can own all the adventures on DVD. From the ancient past to the modern day, Discovery Channel brings the world to